Hey, how in the world is everybody doing? It is Wednesday night. I'm DJ Michael Joseph, and this is Music and Mixing. It's a little show we do each week. If you're new to this, if you just happen to catch up on something, it's basically about the mix DJ. There's a lot of shows on Disc Jockey News that kind of cover the mobile DJ, and this one's kind of cover. We've always tried to cover stuff that has to do with the DJ that likes to mix and scratch and stuff like that. And that's tonight. We're going to focus on some scratching techniques tonight, some really basic ones. If you already have scratch abilities, then there's going to be absolutely nothing you're probably going to learn tonight. It's going to be super basics, but it should be fun. I'm going to cover some stuff, and I have a video to show later from a person who, in my opinion, is a ninja when it comes to scratching and what can be done with the basics that I'm teaching you tonight. He does. There's a little video I'm going to show at the end of him taking that basic and turning it into this absolutely crazy bananas just mix fest of a thing he does. So we're going to give everybody a couple seconds to come into the chat so I can see everything, making some adjustments over here. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys always make this show fun. We have sponsors. We have all kinds of stuff. We're trying to make the show grow. 2019 should be pretty awesome. Got some interesting stuff. I've got a lot of positive response from the set show I did last week. For those of you who didn't join us last week's show, I went over basically the set that I did at the Denon booth in the DJ Expo on the Denon Expo showroom floor, and I broke it apart in little tiny pieces, and I got a lot of positive response from that, so maybe we'll do some more. And John and I were joking because John always tunes in at the beginning of the show and helps me do the test of the sound and everything from his end, just make sure we're getting everything through on the right thing. It's always him tuning, me just basically setting up and mixing for like a half an hour of house music, the stuff that I love to mix, and then him tuning in and then getting to hear me, mix and see me mix and all that kind of stuff. And we think we may open up a thing for the Insider crew, a half hour, an hour before the show starts, of me. If you just want to just click on that link, we'll have the link for the Insider area, and all that is just a link to listen and watch me do this for an hour before or afterwards or something. I don't know, but just something for fun, because I'm here anyways, just having fun mixing. So let's see who we have in the chat tonight. Say hello to everybody. Reggie was already messaging me earlier today that he's looking forward to tonight's show. It should be pretty interesting. It's like I said, for anybody who has any kind of mixing ability, this is going to be super simple. Ivan even messaged me earlier today that he was interested in it, and he pointed out something that I don't always think about, because Ivan is an extremely advanced DJ, incredible turntablist. And I told him, I said, there's nothing I'm going to teach tonight that you didn't probably know the first time you touched a turntable. And he's like, you never know what you can learn from other people and their point of view. So I never thought of something like that. So that if you are a person who scratches, you might learn something tonight. If you've never scratched before, you might learn something tonight. I don't know. I think it's going to be one of the shortest lessons I've ever done, because it's so simple. So there's going to be a lot of time to ask and answer questions later. But plus, also remember, I have a video to show later on something that's really cool. Who else is in the chat here? Let me adjust so I can read the chat a little bit better. Somebody asking about live streaming DJ sets wirelessly. I actually have been testing lately, and I don't know how I'm going to do this show, but I've actually been testing the ability to do a full DJ mix and stuff from a tablet. And I've been trying out different apps, paid ones, free ones. I'm going to be getting my hands on a small controller that will work with tablets. And the whole idea of me going through this testing thing is that if I'm out somewhere with this rig and let's say something crashes, I still can do a mix with the computer if this crashes, but if the computer crashes, I don't have much of a backup. So what I'm going to be doing is testing different apps that I would be able to, in an emergency, again, we're not talking about doing something out, for the whole night, but just an emergency, being able to pull a tablet, a small tablet like something this size out of a backpack and hook it up to either a controller or use the apps and efficiently, and again, a lot of people talk about, well, I can mix off an app, but I'm talking about efficiently to make it as good as doing it with the full setup. That's what I'm testing, so that may be something we do in the future. But tonight is about scratching. And I don't mean like the kind of scratching. Every time I see somebody do that scratching, anybody remember the old Dave Chappelle show that was out years ago? He had this character that was like this crack addict, and he'd be scratching. He'd be like, drugs and alcohol have ruined my life. So that's what I think about when people talk about scratching. But we're going to talk about the basics of it. I want to show a picture just to kind of show off, because I'm a person that likes to, I always say, watch your toes. I'm about to drop names. But the scratch itself was invented by this guy right here that I got to meet this year at the DJ Expo. It's Grand Wizard Theodore. And he even told the story of how that he was practicing in his room, and he was making so much noise that his mom come in the room and was like, you know, either turn it down or shut it off. It's your only two choices. And right when she said that, he put his hand on the record and stopped it. And he said he kind of heard that sound, and what it was he was recording a live set. Now, this is how old school this is, that he said he had a boombox that recorded that was setting in front of his speaker. So he was doing a live recording of himself. This is the way he told the story, that it was either high school or junior high, I can't remember which it was now, principal would play music over the loudspeaker during lunch in the lunchroom, and he said he was playing all these disco records and nobody really wanted to hear it. And so he asked, you know, he said he had this friend that was like a professional talker that he constantly talked, and he got in the principal's ear and said, hey, this guy's got some good stuff. If we bring you some of his stuff, can you play it? And the principal said, yeah, have him record something and I'll take a listen, and if it's good, we'll play it. And that's what he was doing, is he was recording himself doing a set, like I said, old school, with the recorder set right next to the speakers. He was doing stuff. His mom came in, he put his hands on the record, stopped the record, and he said he kind of liked the way that sounded, so he decided to start implementing that over some time in his mixes that he would record like that. And that's basically how scratching started. And that's what we're building off of tonight. Main lesson tonight is going to be about the exact thing that he did, which is called a baby scratch. And for those who are in the chat just joining us, thank you guys. We will get into any questions here in just a little bit. I'm going to go through the lesson because, like I said, it's really not going to take a long time for me to go through this, and then we'll answer some questions afterwards. So basically, I'm going to share screens here as soon as I get everything back up and running. So the basics of this is I'm going to use one of my multi-stabs, which I love using this multi-stab. And a multi-stab is nothing more than a bunch of scratch samples put together. And if Jimmy's watching, he knows what that is.
Nothing. Yeah.
And they're just different ones you could use. But we're going to go with this one right here. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what a baby scratch is. And there's two different ways you can do it. Baby scratch is basically no fader. So the fader becomes your open and close. So the volume's up on this side. And if my fader is all the way over here, you can't hear that make any noise. But if the fader's on, you get to hear some noise. So what we're going to be doing first is fader on, platter off baby scratch. And all it is going back and forth. That's a baby scratch. And then there's two types of baby scratch that they talk about. The long baby scratch, which would be the longer one, which I was kind of doing there, where it kind of goes the entire length of the sample. And then there's the short baby scratch, or sometimes they call it the tip scratch, which is much shorter. And sometimes the tip scratches, if you can see up at the top there, that sample, the tip scratches are done right at the beginning of the sample. So it would be... So you could do shorts and long. And then do patterns of that. And that's basically all there is to a scribble scratch. And it can be taken down to the form of the fastest part of the baby scratch, which is a scribble scratch. So you can do the really long ones, do the short ones, or do the scribbles. And all I'm doing is moving that back and forth as fast as I can. And that's a scribble scratch. And that's with the platter off. But you can do the same thing with it on. So you'd go... and a release. So those are the basics of what a baby scratch is. I told you it's going to be super, 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 super simple tonight. And you can take the baby scratch now and do the fader on and off. And so like I have this now with it off. You can see the fader over here is off. And you can't hear anything. When I move it over, you can. So you can do the fader on with a baby scratch. So all I'm doing is, but I'm opening up the fader every once in a while. And you get a different sound. And there's different scratches like flares and different things like that to where they're partially open and stuff like that. There's also a thing called a double click orbital, which is the same thing, but you're kind of, it's not really a baby scratch because you're kind of releasing it, and it's one of the, it's a little different, which would be, so because I would be holding the thing there, I would release it, pull it back, release it, pull it back, and you'd be clicking it open on both the forward and the backward, single clicks, or a double. And if I can do a triple, wait, or four, sometimes I can do four, maybe, I don't think I'm gonna do that because that's a short, really scratch there. Or crab. Anyways, but those are back and forth, and it's still done with a baby scratch, even though you're releasing it. You can do that with your hand on there. And you are taking that same movement with the fader on and off and changing stuff. The next thing, like I said, hold your questions at the end. I'm going to try to get through all this because, like I said, I'm almost through. There's not a lot to teach with a baby scratch. You're going to talk about what can you scratch. And one of the things is samples. And like I said, baby scratches can be done with just about any sample whatsoever. You can have... And there's other samples. Where are some of my other samples at? We're going to go with the char, which is one of the famous ones. And they're all just back and forth. You can also use a beat, a song that has a beat to it. And I'm going to grab one of my, this one here, maybe. And so this is just a beat. And you can do the same thing with the baby scratch by doing that tip scratch, which is real close, or the long, or combine them. That's all done with just the fader closed. The other thing you can do this with is that, I don't know, I think I'm going to wait and touch on this here in a minute. It's kind of more of an advanced thing where you can grab them, and it's a way of practicing. So that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about is practicing. So I'm going to go to the other side, and we're going to put that same track over here, and we're going to put the multi-stab on the right side in a way to practice them to get it together, because if you're just scratching and it's not on beat, it's noise as far as I'm concerned. So that's kind of it. I do want to talk about some other samples before I do what I'm about to do here, is that besides the beat that you can scratch, you know, and the samples, you can also go and look at certain songs that have points in them that are scratchable and usable that aren't the beat or a predetermined sample. And I'm going to go through a few of these. We all know Bruno Mars' Uptown Funk. That. You can use that with the faders open, closed, whatever. Another one that I like is the Spice Girls. Simple sounds that can be done. Hot in Here, Nelly. That right there was always one of my favorite ones. Stuff to just kind of create a little bit of a flair in with things. All I do is bang. That bang right there was always one. All I do is win, win, win. So those are all samples within a song that you can use to drop in, so that if something's playing and you just want to drop into that beat, you know, let's say, pardon me, excuse me. I go all the way to the end here, and I'm going to wait till this song comes to an end. I don't even know if that ends on beat. All right, so yeah, so I'm going to go all the way to the end, and when that hits that last beat, I'm going to drop this one. So that's all I'm going to do.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money.
And just with that simple baby scratch, I'll do it again if you want to see it. That can be an intro to things. Or I can do it with another one, whatever you want. But that's a good one. We'll wait till it gets to the end, and then we'll do the drop in. And that's just a baby scratch is all I'm doing, and a release, which we're going to talk about the practice of the starting and releasing here in a second.
All I do is win, 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 no matter.
All right, so there is now the start and release, which what we just did there with it with the fader open. So that's the part where I'm right here with the fader open, and you're hearing. Now there's another way to do it where you count it with it closed, and you drop it on the 1. So it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and that's one thing that we can do to change that up just a little bit to where you don't hear this. You're just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I'm doing is I'm opening up the fader right when I release that. Okay, that's all I'm going to be doing. Do that again. I wasn't paying attention. I was looking over at the other screen.
All I do is win, 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 no.
I keep pressing the start button there. So those are kind of things that you can do with baby scratches and samples. There's ways to practice with that to where, again, you drop a beat on one side, and I'm going to go back to the sample on the bottom here. Where's my 9 sample? All right, so I got that, and I'm going to do the... all right, so that's just going to loop. That's all that is a loop. So now I'm going to practice the shorts and longs. So I'm going to do a couple of longs. Now, the whole idea is to be on beat. Now the shorts, I'm going to do some short stabs. Double the speed. Shorts and longs. Simple things like that to practice, where you practice your scratches. Now do the same thing with the fader open and closed. All right. Simple things like that. Practice your releases. Now practice your releases with the opens and closes. And those are some basic practices. And then you can take that to a further point with beat juggling. Let me find a better beat to beat juggle with. See what I have here in loops. I don't have many loops. Yeah, we'll do that one. So it's the same thing, but I'm going to rewind and then try to make sure that I drop it on beat. So, wait, that's a really short loop. That's not what I want. I don't want that short loop. I want beats and loops is what I want, not just loops. I want beats and loops. So we're going to jump up to beats and loops. See what I can find here. See what I like here. This one will work, I think. So, and try to make sure that you wind it back and then just try to drop it on beat. And that's just kind of practicing your scratching. just keep practicing. Those are ways to practice the on beats. Make sure you have things right. And another way is a catch and release. And this one's a little bit more difficult. If I have it here, I think I have it here. Let me go back to the... I forget what it's called. Thought I had it here. It would be on my beats and loops, and I thought I renamed it, but maybe I didn't. But let me double check here. Sorry about that. I want to make sure I get the right one here because it's kind of fun to do it with the right one. There it is with the kick. So the idea of this is I'm going to be grabbing them on beat or off beat. I'm going to grab it before the beat this time. Grabbing and releasing, and it's getting you to get used to the rhythm of it and being comfortable with grabbing and doing the baby scratch. So I'm not doing anything with the fader. Let it release and come back. Simple baby scratches, and that's all the kind of different things that you can do with the different little baby scratches and releases. And like I said, then you can also do the same thing with the crossfader. Catch it on the beat there. I have my crossfader super tight there. And that's just ways to practice them. And that's pretty much all there is to the baby scratch. Like I said, it was going to be a lot of talking and a lot of extra time. I still have the video that I want to show you that DJ Qbert, he's probably one of my favorite turntablists in the entire world, probably one of the leading scratch artists in the world, creator, just so unique and everything. And he does a thing where all he does is do the baby scratch. And when you see what I just do with that simple, to see what he can do with that, your mind is absolutely going to be blown. Right now, we're going to go to a quick commercial to honor our sponsors that help the show, and we'll be right back, and we'll take a look at that video, and then we'll answer questions after that.
Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and DJNTV Insiders.
And again, we want to thank our sponsors. If you want to go visit some of our sponsors, the links are in the show notes below. Go visit them. Tell them that you saw them here on Music and Mixing on the Wednesday night show. I'd like to try to get a full sponsor for next year if I could, or soon. We don't even have to wait till next year. It can be any time. But I'd like to pull a sponsor for the show and some of the stuff, even the pre-show, whatever we do, all that kind of fun stuff. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this video and let you guys see this, and I'm probably going to talk a little bit over it. But like I said, all he's doing in this video is techniques minus the fader. So it's all platter only, no fader. So there are versions of the baby scratch in from the simplest to the most just dynamic that you could ever imagine. And it's about a 3-minute video. Watch the video. Like I said, I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and then afterwards, like I said, you can ask questions about what I taught, ask questions about the video or something else, and we'll go through that. But here's the video. DJ Qbert, faderless scratch.
Watch this turntable right here.
He's got the beat going
Watch
on the
this
right deck,
turntable.
and he's on the left. I mean, the beat's on the left deck, he's on the right deck. Again, remember, he's that one sample is always using the whole length of the sample there. I love that right there. And these are called phasers and lasers. They're two different things when you use the two hands, phasers and lasers. And this one's one of my favorites. It's just quick stops and starts on the pullback. That was basically like a one-finger stab. He's letting the stops and starts over his fingers are causing that little bit of an effect. Now he's cheating a little bit here. He is, for the cuts, he's picking up the needle to do his cuts. So instead of a fader, he's doing it all with the needle. And now that is what a real scribble scratch is all about right there. That's the real deal. Phasers and lasers again. And that's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen, right there. That is what scratching to its finest without using anything but one turntable is. So that's about it for my lesson. We got lots of time. I knew I was going to go through it quick because it was so simple, but I will answer any questions that you guys have, or like I said, however you want to go through with that. But that's the basics of the baby scratch and beginning scratches. And like I said, if you're just someone who's starting, like I said, this show is about the mix DJ, and if you're a young DJ just learning to mix, what Kubert said one time in a video about scratching, I kind of taken that and done it to all mixing. And he said in the video about scratching, he says the more scratch techniques you learn, think of it like a new word. And the more words that you're able to speak makes you more articulate. So the more scratches that you have make you a better scratcher, a more articulate scratcher. And I say the same way with mixing, doing the same mix every single time, whether it be, like I said, a lot of the guys who start out don't mix whatsoever. They just kind of fade one song into another. A simple beat match into beat match into beat match into beat match to me is just basically one word repeated over and over. But if you learn to do all kinds of techniques where you're scratching stuff in, scratching stuff out, all kinds of stuff like that, your mixing ability then becomes really, really articulate. And you then also, besides being articulate, think of it all as tools in a toolbox, that all these little different things you can do, you never are left limited by what you can and can't do out on a live set. And like I said, that baby scratch is the beginning of it, so it can give you a scratch in, and that could be even something scratch in on beat matched, I'll throw one of those in here real quick. Let you see that so that it matches. We're going to do 100 to 105. Let me switch over on the cameras here. And yeah, we'll do it from there. And we're going to drop in, put that over there. And we're going to put that over there, I think. And here, so let's say we're coming to the end of this song and I want to scratch in to where we have this sample. And I can do that on beat if I want to. Here's the actual the hook right here. Simple scratch in, you do a backspin out.
Come my lady, come my lady.
And something as simple as that little scratch in, no fade or nothing, can give you a little bit of a flair that you didn't have before. So feel free to holla at me with questions. We got lots of time, so we can talk about anything. We don't even have to talk about scratching. We can talk about whatever. But that's what the show's about tonight. The basics of scratching. And like I said, you can take it to the nth degree. If you get a chance, and I'm not sure where they're all posted at, but in our chat room tonight is one of our DJNTV guys, Ivan, who also goes by the name of DJ Superfly. Incredible DJ, has recently put out a couple of scratch videos where his new baby has been sitting there watching him, and that he takes those scratches to again. You look at what he does is really high end on the scratches, but it's still the basics of what I just taught done to the nth degree. And like I've said in all my mixing classes and all of my shows, that I can show you how to do something 100 times, but you're going to have to practice 1,000 to get it. And these things that, you know, whether it be Kubert, myself, Ivan, whatever, they don't come from just, I saw a video online, I'm going to try it out live this weekend. Like I said, you don't know how many nights that, this is a good example. I'm going to be putting out a video soon of how to replace the fader on the 7000, because I've worn out my fader on this, and this thing is less than 2 years old, and it's not because it's cheap. It's because faders wear out when you use them a lot, and I've in my lifetime replaced so many faders on so many mixers and so many controllers, it's not even funny. But I am going to do a video on that, on this one, talk about a little bit about that. But that's the kind of thing you just got to practice over and over and over and over and over and over. Like I said, there's nights I'll do the beat juggling where I'll just go back and forth and back and forth. I heard somebody in the chat talk about the slower BPMs and the higher BPMs. I like to do both in practice, not necessarily in real life, but in practice. But because it comes, it's the different BPMs are challenging to be able to come back and forth and back and forth and back and forth quickly. And the idea is to try to catch them as quick as you can and go, at least for me when I'm practicing, to go through as short amount of beats as I can. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, switch, I'm going to try to go 1, 2, 3, 4, switch, 1, 2, 3, 4, switch, 1, 2, 3, 4, switch, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, switch, 1, 2, switch, 1, 2, switch, and just over and over and over and over and over. Would I ever use that out at a live show? Probably not. But that skill of being able to bring that record back and drop record, you can tell how old I am, bring that song back and drop it on beat quickly is going to save you at points when maybe things get a little hectic and you need to drop into something. So that's the kind of why I say to practice them, is that you may not do a beat juggling, you may not do a scratch routine, but that ability to where you feel comfortable using the platters that quickly and that easily will be able to let you jump in and out of mixes quickly, get yourself into a bad point, have a song you don't want to play, get out of a song that's not popular, that's not going, didn't hit off as well as you did. All these little things can help you bring them in and out like that. So feel free to ask questions. Curve setting. All right, so this is what the curve setting does. So I want to show everybody what it is here. Let me go back to. I'm going to do this beat just so that you can hear the beat. Okay, so with that fader, let me switch screens here. All right, we'll go to this one. Okay, so now we're going to do the entire screen. So as this is over here, if I there's a little knob right here on this controller that controls the curve, and what it does is it's going to control how soon, because when it's over here, you hear it, and when it's over here, you don't hear anything. where that curve is set, if I set it all the way to the left and I let that beat go, you're going to see how far. Pick up a little bit of sound, a little bit of sound. And I have to get all the way to the other side before it's at full volume. If I do that curve in the center, it's a twist knob, and what it's doing is it's changing the depth of the arc. So the arc, instead of being real smooth from the bottom to the top, or you might see it as an angular this way, it could be real short or over, down, and up, just the real short kind of quick stuff. So this is halfway. And halfway, that is at full volume. And if we go back to where I turn this all the way to the end, okay, I will move that off of there about the width of a like a greeting card maybe, or maybe a little bit more than a greeting card, and it's full on. So I'm just going to push it just a tiny bit there. And the purpose for that on the adjustment is so that if you're doing a sample, like find a longer one there. Oops, typed on the wrong thing there. All right, so I'm going to switch screens. We're going to go to long classic tone so you can see what's going on here. And the long classic tone is one of my favorites. And that's basically, it's one of the old school one, and there's a couple here. So that if you were to put that all the way over, that fader, so it gets loud halfway and all the way short. So, and also you're going to see, I'm going to switch screen one more time, and there's a thing called a crab scratch, and it's the fader. Pretend this is the fader and it's pinned up against the wall. Every time I pull it off of there, you're just going to hear a sound, okay? But a crab scratch is I'm going tap, pulling it off of there, it's slamming back in. Tap, slamming back in, because I'm going this way. I'm holding it tight against the thing this way and just going across there. So the same way for having that curve being sharp, you can do things like crab scratches. Do it slow. And that's basically the reason for the curve. That's why the curve is there, and that's what you do the curve with. Hope that helped. Everybody, it's a good thing to talk about the hands. I probably should have talked about that a little bit. That everybody, I think I froze there for a second. I'm not sure. Nope, I'm back up. Everybody has a strong hand, which I always say you have a rhythm hand and you have a speed hand. And the rhythm hand is the one that is basically really, really going to be on top. So for me, this is my speed hand, my right hand. Let me go back to this down here. This is my speed hand. So if I were to do the rhythm, that hand over there is kind of like the, it's not as fast. It's really hard for me to do the scribble scratch with that hand. But the other side, which very few DJs can do both sides evenly, I have kind of what Qbert did with his one-handed scratch is what I do a lot with the right side, because I have tried so hard. I have no left-handed fader ability at all. So I'm kind of doing a hamster sort of thing there. So you're going to have a weak hand and a strong hand. It's very hard. If you want to see someone who does not have a weak hand and a strong hand as a DJ, DJ Flair is one of the people who I think has... It's hard. If you were to just look at his hands, it would be hard for you to be able to tell if he's right-handed or left-handed, which is his strong side. But almost all DJs have a weak side like that. My friend DJ Cadillac and I joke around all the time with each other, like, why is your right deck broke? Because, we're always doing that. Or I sometimes put a scratch in one time on the right side like that, and he's like, you did that just so I'd see you do it with the right hand and the left hand. And I'm like, yep, just for you, Cadillac. But it just practice. I know you guys are talking in the chat about practice, and that's all it's about. Like, I used to, my Wednesday evening, I would spend 2 hours every Wednesday evening in scratch practice, which I want to try to start doing more. I'm kind of slowed down with some things between the stuff I'm doing with Disc Jockey News, trying to get my house ready to put up for sale because I want to move and build a new studio and a new house somewhere else. So I'm kind of like bundled up and doing a lot of that, so I don't get a lot of practice time. But that's why I make the joke that we should make the show prior to the show of me mixing, because basically as soon as I set up here, I just start DJing. So practice, just keep going over the basics over and over and over, and then they're going to get super simple, and then you're going to jump online and you're going to look for another DJ who does something harder than what I just taught, and you're going to practice that, and then pretty soon you're going to be like, crap, look what I can do. My rhythm, because I'm in my lifetime I've played instruments or drums and different things. I also used to be a dancer. There's videos out there where I actually did TV commercials and stuff like that, and the rhythm part is really easy. And I guess one time this actually happened twice to me, that one of them was a show we were doing, was a benefit show, and I was scratching, and somebody come over and asked me, they're like, hey, can you keep going a little bit longer? The next guy is not here yet, we got to set up. And I'm talking to him like, yeah, okay, like, what do you think, how long? And I'm scratching, and when I got done, a dude walked to me to watch that, and he's like, you never missed a beat, you just kept scratching. I'm like, really? I'm like, I think I was okay. He's like, no, you were dead on, and you were talking to him. So I guess some of the basics, and I couldn't have been doing anything fancy, if I'm going to be talking to somebody, but I'm sure that I was still there just going, just simple like, oh, really? Okay, yeah, I can do that, yeah. That sort of thing, and that's what practice kind of gets you. Paul said he saw someone online with a little tiny DJ to go doing a scratch routine, and yes, I've seen those, and I have one that I'm gonna post tomorrow. So if you guys don't follow my Rewind Report page, for those of you who don't know, I do another show every week on Disc Jockey News. It's a pre-recorded show, and it's 2 minutes or less, and it's usually on some sort of new product. The one I put out today was on the new XDJ RR, which is Pioneer's new all-in-one controller with a center screen. Instead of having two screens like the Denon 8000, it has a center screen, and it will work off of thumb drives only, or it has a computer mode that you can play off computer mode, all that kind of stuff. But the Rewind Report is where I'm going to post that video tomorrow, where I might even post it on my page. So if you follow me on my Facebook page, I may post it too or share it. But it's someone doing a scratch routine with a phone app that has nothing more than an app, and there's two buttons on it that take the fader in that app, open, close, and he's doing a scratch routine on a phone, on an app on a phone, with just this open and close thing. And it's like I've said before, like in the days when I used to race motorcycles, it's not always the bike, it's the rider. So if you have a fast rider is going to be fast on any bike. In the same way with a good DJ, not very often are you going to have a DJ that can do something on one machine and can't do it on another. There's going to be certain transitions that are going to be different, stuff that you have to change, but for the most part, a good DJ is going to be a good DJ. So, anything else? What do we got? We got a little less than 15 minutes, 13, something like that. So feel free to holler at me with questions. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I wanted to say that the idea for the show, like it comes from you guys all the time, where I get these ideas for these shows. So if you have an idea, send it to me. Facebook message, whatever. I do all the social media. So whether you're, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever, I'm on all of them. So you can hit me up via email, whatever you want. But this actually came from John's son, Michael, because he also DJ'd at the Denon booth, and he DJ'd at the DJNTV Insiders Party, and he spun before me at the Insiders Party, and I'm there set up. And I'm just kind of like getting ready to start, and I'm doing stuff and as my routine. Those of you who saw the video last week, that first part of my routine, I'm scratching the little things in and out. And he peeks over and he goes, "That's what I want." And I'm like, "What do you want?" And he goes, "I want to learn how to scratch." And that's where I thought of the idea. Well, let's do a show on basic scratching and where you start and how to practice. So that's where you guys if you have ideas, hit me up, please. I don't know if I will ever release a DVD. I'm going to be honest with you, because I would have to partner up with someone who helps me to be able to do the distribution in the right way to where it's worth my money and the time that I put into it. I would like to do it because selling a DVD it's good and bad. Selling a DVD is easier for me, but I think as a student you learn more from taking the class directly. So that's kind of how I see that I could make a DVD showing you all 4 of my classes that I do. I could take that down to a DVD in 4 sections, because that's why I do my DJing 101, 102, 103, and 104. And I could sell that to you, and I don't think you would get as much out of it as if it was the what would that be, 7 hours of class taken with me one-on-one. So I may not. Don't look for it anytime soon. Like I said, I'm hoping to move and build a new studio next year. So at best, I would even be able to begin that project would be late 19, early 20 at best. So, yeah, it's definitely easier to do the beat juggling and all that stuff slow. It definitely, I don't want to say slow. Slower is the right word. But like I said, I like to do the fast stuff. So like, let's see if I can pull something up here at 125 to 120. Whoops, I'm typing on the wrong thing again. See if I can find something here that's faster. So, yeah. I don't know if that's... That's at 126, so it could be done. I mean... I'll switch it over so you can see that. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's harder. I'm just saying it's different. So let's do that then. Okay, so that's the 125, and we're going to do the same thing at, let's do it at 95, between 95 and 100. Here we go. I always have the pointer on the wrong screen. And sexual healing, maybe? I don't know. So it's there, one way or the other. It just practices, you know. That's all it comes down to. I never claimed to be an incredible DJ. Play a song of 22 BPM. I don't even know what my lowest BPM would be on anything. It's got to be probably like a Christmas song or something, maybe. Yeah, like I said, I don't claim to be any kind of great DJ. I just have this little bit of knowledge, and I want to share it with you guys to the best of my ability and let you guys just kind of have some fun with it. Let me see what I have BPM wise slow. I'm scrolling, forever scrolling. Am I going the wrong way? I think I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, alright, so the slowest BPM one I have in here, at least by the way it's registering, and I can't say that it's registering right, is Rob Thomas, Lonely No More, is registering at 55.8 BPM. Let's see if it's right. Tap it out. But words are only words. Can you show me something else? Nope, that's saying it's 80 right there, so that one's off. Some of these might not even be right, but yeah, I'm not going to do that to it there. So, a couple more questions. If you guys have questions, hit me up. Michael, you say, I've never had a need for one of these. What are we talking about? And keep in mind that this show is about the mixed DJ, and that's basically what the entire show is, someone who wants to be a mixed DJ. It has nothing at all. And I'm not saying you can't use it at weddings or parties or stuff like that, but this is for the guy that wants to learn to mix for whatever. Because like I said, I stay busy because I get to do everything. And I know a lot of DJs that will do a wedding and then pack up the wedding and go DJ a club that night and make money. And they don't have an off season and stuff like that. There's always work for them because, like I said, probably 99% of the gigs that I take, I could not get, literally couldn't get, if, I think we lost the stream there. Did we lose the stream? I don't know. Yep, we paused for a second there. See if it comes back. We are frozen, aren't we? Are we back? There we go. Okay. Am I using a mouse and keyboard right now? No. I'm using a mouse to basically. Right now, I'm just using it to go between screens. But if I'm DJing a night, yeah, I know it's freezing on and off. But if I'm DJing a night, I never use the mouse up there hardly at all. Because let me share here that I have these set up. So if you look at the top, I'm actually gonna have to switch over to this one. I think. No, let me go back to here. I'm gonna move this up. So if I hit this button right here, it's going to highlight right here, and I would be able to start typing right there. So I could type, and songs come up from there. And if I want to, let me see if I can do the left, do this way so you guys can see this a little bit better. There we go. So if I hit that one button there, it's going to put me up into the search area. The second button puts me in here where I'm using the twist knob to go there. Third button is there. Fourth one is here. If I say I get to something I want there, and I find I want that song, I press the button to load it up onto that deck. If I want to put it down into my saved area below, I can hit shift and that button, and it throws it down into this down here. So I spend almost no time touching the computer when I'm out DJing, unless I hit this button right here and then go type in the BPMs in that area right there, do my 100 to 105 sort of thing. So I spend very little time using it. I use the buttons that are here for almost everything. So I think that was your question about the mouse. I'm not sure. I apologize. We are freezing. We're having a little trouble with the feed. I don't think scratching's the same whether you're scratching, to me, in my opinion, whether you're scratching on a vinyl record, whether you're scratching on a Serato with a Serato play, a time code, whether you're doing it with virtual with the time code, whether you're doing it with Serato with the controller, whether you're doing it virtual controller. It's just scratching is scratching. It's what you're used to, what you like, how you deal with it. Because I always say a DJ is a DJ. Good example, when I had to do the thing at the DJ Expo, I could not use a computer and I could not use a controller. I had to use their units. So I had to do everything that I do here on their units on something totally new with no screen, no over-under matching waveforms. It just simply two screens, two things, and you just had to DJ. Yeah, so again, this show, like Mike was saying, all he uses is a mouse. This is about someone who has a deck of some sort, whether it be Serato vinyl or a controller. That's what this entire show is about, the DJ who mixes. So probably not the best show for you. I hope you got stuff out of it. It's probably not your style, because we have other DJs who tune in who definitely do all 100% mobile DJing, don't do any sort of mixing, but they like to watch the show, and I appreciate them tuning in. But this is all about whether it be a young DJ starting out, or it can be someone my age, because I'm old, and I'm always practicing and always trying to get better. And that's kind of what, you know, all of this is about, is the person who wants to mix. So, the Numark to go to, it's okay to start with if you want. I think we're frozen again. We're having horrible kilobyte speeds tonight. I can see that